War comes to Rohan, and finally I get to show you what I've been working on for Armies on Parade. Welcome to the home of the Horse Lords. Whether you are new around here for the first time or you've been watching the channel for a while now, this video will be the first part in a series about building Edoras onto a 4x4 gaming table, completely modular. This is the first official time we've attempted to build Edoras. In the very early days we did build a small modular hillside with a removable top. This was back when I was about 11 years old, so it really doesn't count. But it's in this video just as a reference for the memories. My huge love of Middle-earth has always and will always start with the characters. The moment the three hunters and Gandalf arrive in Rohan and you see the rolling plains, thatched houses and golden armour for the first time brings about anticipation and expectancy. You get the sense that the people of Rohan have had it hard, they've struggled through many dark days, their king is weary, and then there's a spark of hope. The underdogs bring about a right hook and start to build their strength. Let's make Rohan great again. In this video, I'm going to be sharing the start of this project, the vision for the future and how it's going so far. So sit back, relax and enjoy. Before we get stuck in, if you're a fan of Middle-earth and fantasy terrain, smash that subscribe button. Keith and I have got a plan to grow this channel and bring you some of the best Tolkien-inspired videos you've ever seen. We've already done boards like Rivendell, Lake Town, Barrels Out of Bond and Erebor to name a few. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below of one location or battle you'd like to see in a video and we'll aim to do it this year. Now let's get back to Rohan. Everything you see here, well, nearly everything is from the plastic Rohan Stronghold kit, with a few little extras. Now I have to say Games Workshop have done an absolutely fabulous job with this set. The Rohan House, the Palisades, and everything in between is just a standout terrain building and I absolutely love it. Using various guides, one from Peachy from GW and Lackey from Zorpazorp, I was able to build the houses for Rohan and add a little variation to customize them. More on these in a future video. Ever since this was released, I wanted to build a 4x4 gaming table to be used as a siege on Edoras. The Palisades are a truly wonderful plastic kit and I love that I get to build a terrain board with these plastic kits. Starting with the Gatehouse and working our way up the mountain to the Golden Hall. To do this I started with 12mm thick MDF boards and layered a sheet of insulation foam on top and marked this as level 1. This first board would have the Gatehouse and a couple of houses situated on. Long gone are the days without any scenery. If you haven't seen the announcement, we've even got Osgiliath upgrade sets coming and oh my do I want to build a display specifically with them. Bring it on. After cutting out all the pieces and gluing them together, I had my first set of Rohan houses ready for the board. For me, it's all in the little details that the finest elf eyes can see. The marking on the doors, the horses' heads, the plastic fences and barrels, all are included, making it so easy to build a Rohan diorama. I really encourage everyone watching this to get yourself a set of these and give it a try. Now the Gatehouse was probably the most intricate of all the pieces. Keith, the master craftsman that he is, built this from scratch. Well, nearly from scratch. We used a spare Rohan House roof to be featured on top of the Gatehouse to match it in with the rest of the build. We even made this removable like with some of the other houses so we could put warriors inside. Cocktail sticks were used to create the palisades and foam was used in order to carve out the Rohan horse's head on the front. Before we move on to painting, there are a few areas of polyfiller that needed addressing. And even before I filmed this video, I needed to touch up the board during the winter while it's been stored in the shed, because it did get so cold this year, the filler actually cracked, so I've had to go over it and repaint before shooting. I'll put a full list in the description of paints I've used. The majority of the work included Rhinox Hide, Dryaad Bark, Eshin Grey and Mechanicus Standard Grey, all of which you can get from your local Warhammer store. Like we have in all of our builds and in our videos up to this point, those of you that have been watching will have seen we use Liquitex spray paint for all of our builds. And with this board, I started with a primer of brown to cover the entire base. To inject a little bit of grey, we highlighted and sprayed slightly over with neutral grey 5 and then highlights with brush. I was so inspired by the Rohan display piece at Warhammer World. I used this as a massive reference for what I wanted to achieve in terms of colour and paint. And I also used the painting guide from Nick at Games Workshop. I applied all the techniques and washes, which gives them an old and weathered look. I'll link the painting guide and build videos in the description below. Lastly, it was time to add static grass and really bring the entire Edoras and Rohan rolling plains look to life. To replicate this, we used a mix of harvest gold and medium green to get a blended effect from Woodland Scenics. This was applied across the entire board, and I also used little tufts of grass to pick out the slightly longer areas. The purpose of the build being split into 4 stages is for multiple reasons. The first 2x2 board with the Gatehouse on, I wanted to be able to enter into Armies on Parade, which for those that don't know is a massive Warhammer wide competition that you can enter with terrain and showcase your army. Last year I entered it at Warhammer store in Chesterfield and actually came away with gold, which was incredible. It's also easier for storage purposes, and using the plastic kits I really wanted everything to be modular. Phase 2 and 3 will be building our way up the mountain, increasing the levels of insulation foam and height, working our way up to Edoras on the hill. I think to build the Great Hall I'm going to need a few more Rohan houses to achieve what we want. The final details of wood fires, spears, swords, barrels and fences really what make this board come to life. I hope you've been inspired by this video and enjoyed watching as much as I did making. This is part 1, we have 3 to go. If you want to see more, smash the subscribe button, leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.